Hey, Facebook world, it's George Carroll. Welcome to GCtv, where we make shift happen. I have a special guest today talking about a very relevant topic and how to host badass virtual events. Wendi Freeman, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Man, so this pandemic, COVID-19, has taken the world by storm, and everybody is and their mom is getting into the virtual scene.
Yes.
And you have some tips and tools, some keys to help people host some badass virtual events. But before we jump into that, I love what you shared with me on our private call about kind of how you got into the industry and of doing live and virtual events. Can you tell us a little bit more about your background?
Sure. So I have been in the event space for professionally 15 years, but before that, high school prom, things like sorority things. And once I figured out that I could make an income doing what I love, I took that into the corporate space and then kind of transitioned into owning my own business and doing it so that I could work with the people that I want to work with, predominantly with, entrepreneurs, people that are making a difference, making an impact in people's lives. And, over that time, I have had the opportunity to plan events from, 10-person roundtables to board meetings, to conferences, to workshops, to seminars, to, full day, 800 people conferences. So I've really had the opportunity to work across the span in both the digital or virtual and live event space.
Awesome. Mike Tomasello is the person that connected us. And one thing that I love about social media is that it's the ultimate connector. Like as a world, as a society, we've never been more connected. Sure, we got other issues we're working on, but we've never been more connected. And I know there's a lot of people out there that, for those of you tuning in right now, or even watching this on the recording, you might be somebody who has a powerful message or a powerful process or a service or something that you want to get out into the world. And I think now is such a great time because we have so many eyes online right now. But it comes with a learning curve. And so what I hope that Wendi can share is maybe some keys to help you shorten that learning curve of really how to dive into the virtual world and deliver some virtual events. So Wendi, without further ado, you want to get us started on a couple of keys?
Sure. So, first of all, I think it's important to recognize that right now you're seeing everywhere virtual summits, and that an online event, a virtual event, doesn't necessarily have to be, a full day, 2-day, 3-day summit with 20 plus speakers. The most important, the joy and beauty of all of this is that you have a message to share, and now you have the platform you've always had the platform to do it, but now you have so many eyes on you. Everybody is just at home consuming knowledge, consuming content. And so even in a webinar space, even what we're doing right now, you have the opportunity to get in front of your audience. And I think the most important thing, well, there's a lot of important things, but I think it's important to recognize that as long as you know who you're talking to and what your message is, that it doesn't have to be difficult to get it out there. And in virtual events, one of the beautiful things is that for the most part, there is not a charge. You can always, I always encourage my clients to offer some sort of upgraded pass so that you can bring in some revenue. And that pass allows everybody to have unlimited, time to watch the replays and things like that. I call it the all access VIP pass. But at the same time, it allows you to get your message out there, build your list without such a huge financial investment that a live event, that's tied to a live event.
Beautifully said. So there's very little overhead. Sure, there's certain technology costs, but nothing like doing a live event. And if you're like me and Wendi and you love live events and you're kind of on hold because of all of this, now is a great time to really build trust and expand your reach so that when live events come out, because what's happening, I get the sense, Wendi, what's happening with people is like, there's a slingshot effect happening and we're all just kind of holding strong and holding. And what's going to happen, I think, when all this is lifted is that our desire or need to connect and gather and come together and celebrate and party our asses off, it is going to exponentialize. And I think live events are going to hit a whole new level after this is all said and done. So now is a great time to continue to add value to your audiences virtually and build that trust level.
Absolutely. And I'll add to that, one of the other things that I encourage all of my clients to do with their live events is, if they don't already, create a Facebook community, create a LinkedIn group, because you are bringing together, to your point earlier about how connected Facebook allows us to be in all the relationships, you are bringing together like-minded people that then provide additional value to each other. And I think that there you're building this community, which we all want and need right now. But then the live event, it's going to be like a reunion. You're going to get to finally meet these people and hug them. And I'm a hugger, finally be able to meet these people face to face. You're going to feel like you already know them. And so that's just one more, point of how live events, like I believe in with everything I have, that like live events are they've always been amazing, but they're going to take on a whole new form. People are just going to, I think they're going to blow up in a huge way because people are going to crave that interaction and that community. And I was at a live event or a virtual event for the past 2 days. And in between all the sessions, they had a DJ. And like, I literally was having a dance party by myself, and like they'd welcome the next speaker on and I'm sitting there clapping and I'm like, this is so weird. But I still was able to have that experience. Even though I didn't have people sitting next to me, I was still able to have that experience because of all of the components that go into a live event that they brought into the virtual event. So I think that's really important also, is to think about those engagement components that you have in a live event and what you can creatively do to recreate that experience when you're behind the screen.
Yeah, no doubt. You mentioned earlier you're a hugger. I'm a hugger too. If I didn't have Kirby and my little babies to snuggle up on, I'd be snuggling up on something. Who knows what it is? But I'd be some stuffed animal or something. But
exactly.
but you're so right. I mean, I can't wait until the gatherings restrictions are lifted and we're able to meet again in person. But for now, virtual does a great job in creating engagement. And I just want to share just a quick transition, and then I want to tap into some of your keys, because most of my events have been in person, and I have a 2-day NLP training that we do every year in March. And right as the restrictions hit, it was a couple of weeks before the actual live event. So we made some swift changes, some adaptations, and we turned it, instead of 2 full days from 9 to 6, we just did 2 full days from 9 to 1. We made, or 2 half days from 9 to 1.
Mm-hmm.
And it was super impactful. We used Zoom, and Zoom has the capability, because my seminars and my trainings tend to be very engaging, very experiential, but Zoom has the capacity to send people into breakout rooms so you can have one-on-one interactions or group interactions aside from the big group interactions. So lots of versatility with some of these platforms. So that's just one example of, hey, if you do live events, you can shift them virtually, just have to adjust a little bit. But Wendi, let's hear the good, sister.
Okay, awesome. Well, yeah, that is one of them, is creating that engagement. And I was going to bring up Zoom and the breakout rooms and how you can, because one of the reasons people attend live events is to meet other people and to network. And nobody wants to sit behind their computer for hours on end just watching speaker after speaker. Yeah, it's valuable. And yes, you can engage in the chat and things like that, but you want to connect with the other people that are there. And that's where that Facebook community comes into play, and the Zoom breakout rooms. A couple other, tips, tricks, just things that I think are really important. Content, content is obviously really, really important, but you need context as well. And what I mean by that is, when you think about it, content is the material that you're presenting, but context is how you actually position your content with a storyline and a purpose that provides value, solves a problem for your audience. And right now there is no shortage of speakers that are looking for virtual stages. So, even scheduling a couple webinars over a couple of days and calling it a conference, you can do that as long as you curate that collective experience for your audience.
Oh, this is good stuff. So go back to context. So when you say building a context for the content, can you give us an example?
Sure. I mean, if you think about, I was just speaking with a client who, what he does is he helps fitness facility owners, like smaller independent gyms, personal trainers, people like that. He helps them build their businesses. So he could bring in a bunch of people that talk about, how to do your books and how to market your business and how to create this experience for your members and continue to give back to them. But if he doesn't tie all of that together and create a story among the speakers, how the speakers wrap into each person. A lot of times what I'm finding is that people, they know their niche, they know their target audience. And when they put on an event, they're trying to reach all of them, right? So, maybe a better example, because his is already pretty niche down, maybe a better example would be a coach, right? Now, a coach might work with women, they might work with men. Okay, say that you are a coach working with women. Well, predominantly, is it just women? Is it women going through divorce? Is it women who are trying to step into their power? Is it women who are, working on building their confidence? Like, figuring out which one of those speaks to your audience and like keeping on that target, because what that's going to allow you to do is you do run the potential for lower attendance, but it's you can dominate the market if you really niche down. So I'm always encouraging my clients to think, go deeper. Okay, you help them. How do you help them? Who specifically, what are they feeling? I mean, the same questions that we've all of, anybody who's had a business coach or started a business, the questions that you're asking over and over about all of that, but really taking that one step further and deeper to really curate that content that's not just this overarching message. It is speaking directly to those people.
Gotcha. So before the content, create the context, and the context is, who are you speaking to? What are their challenges? What are their pain points? What are their issues? What are their desires? And creating content around that. Is that accurate to say?
Exactly. So that way your speakers might have a personal, they might have their general presentation, but if you're able to clearly communicate with them who that target market is, they can work into their story, specific examples. They can reach out to different people so that you feel like they are truly talking to you. It takes there's so many courses and things that we all take, and you're having to then take the knowledge that you're consuming and turn it around and apply it to your own business versus it just being delivered to you on a silver platter.
Very nice. Very nice. So for those of you tuning in, you're probably tuning in because maybe you're doing virtual events already, or maybe you want to start doing virtual events, but share a little bit more about what you're up to. And if there's a link to a virtual event you have coming up, feel free to drop it in the comments below, or let us know what nuggets you're getting out of today's live. So Wendi, let's keep diving in. I know that kind of there's different features with different vehicles and services that people can use. Can you tell us a little bit more about maybe Zoom and some of the capabilities there?
Yeah, absolutely. So Zoom is great. And I think that, now, there used to be a little bit of concern of, well, what if people don't know how to log on and whatever. I think that for the most part, everybody's really, hooked on and become accustomed to Zoom. But from the hosting side of it, when you have a room full of people, depending on the platform tier that you chose, you can go into these breakout rooms, and you have the option, when you collect registrations, if you know that you're going to have, people that are in if you're splitting it up by industry, which I just told you not to do, but there might be people who let's say, for example, they're talking about a specific challenge they're having in their business. There's people who want to talk about what they're building right now. You can collect that information when they register, and you can actually assign them into breakout rooms, where I think right now, a lot of people think it's just what I call breakout roulette, where it's just, we're going to go into breakout rooms and that's it. But you can actually, if you do it ahead of time, you can actually choose who's going into what room. And it's great because you can have a facilitator or a moderator in each room. You can pose a question. There's individual chat in the rooms, and you can set a timer. So they know that, they have 15 minutes in this room. There's 15 people. Well, that'd be bad math, but you can kind of level set so that everybody has an opportunity to share and speak.
These are so valuable, because it's one thing that I've been sort of resistant to with virtual stuff is like, there's certain things, and you and I talked about this, but there are certain things in a live event that you just simply can't duplicate. But what I really like about Zoom, that it does give you a lot of functionality, a lot of versatility to be able to create similar interactions. And a good example of this are all of my NLP trainings are designed so that we teach content, and then I do a demonstration of the exercise of the process with somebody in the front of the room so that everybody can learn visually. And then everybody gets an opportunity to practice with each other. And Zoom offers that capability. So I can still duplicate the training model, and people can have that experiential that experiential feel that live events do. So I think that's good for people to know. Great tips.
Absolutely. And especially with NLP, you learn the concept, but then you want to immediately practice it and implement it. And I mean, I've worked with NLP practitioners through Zoom, through the phone. So it's definitely possible. You're not really losing that capability. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely a great feature for sure.
Absolutely. And I just shared a link inside of the comments below. It's 13 like hidden secrets to let me see, something about that. Zoom tips and tricks, 13 hidden features to try. So yeah, there's a lot I didn't even know existed within Zoom until all of this happened. And, a lot of us were kind of forced to learn.
Right.
Yeah. So this is great. So for those of you watching right now, just pop a comment if you want about what you're learning, what you're getting out of this, and maybe some tips and tricks that you use inside of Zoom that maybe we didn't cover. So Wendi, let's kind of talk about in terms of the topic, delivering badass virtual events. Tell us about like the state of being or the space you want to come from when delivering the content, because you can be kind of in a fearful state of being and deliver content and be all anxious and unprepared. Or you can be fully present, you can be fully prepared and really delivering. Can you talk about the difference between the two?
Sure. I mean, I think for a virtual event, I'm encouraging everybody to go live. Don't do pre-recorded presentations. If you were on stage at a live event, you wouldn't just go up there and play a presentation. So I definitely encourage you to go live and do it live. And I think that you need to show up where you are there in a place of service. You are there from a place of delivering value. You're not there. Nobody wants to go to a pitch fest, right? If you show up from a place of value and just share your knowledge and what and you're trying to help people, as a result, they're going to come back to you because of that know, like, and trust factor. But when you show up there all buttoned up, show up as you, authentically you. I think that's the other thing. I think a lot of people, I'm not sitting here. I didn't straighten my hair. I didn't put earrings on. Like if I was on a stage, I would be dressed in whatever, but this is authentically me in my quarantine state. I'm in my grandma sweater, like glasses, the whole 9 yards. So I think that that's something else that really comes across on video. You can tell if people are all, you got to be authentic. You have to come from a place of service. And when you're coming from this place of, scarcity or fear, or you have a hidden agenda, that comes across, and that right there is the minute that they swipe, it might still be on in the background and they start multitasking, and what you're saying is not being heard at all.
No doubt. So and even with that, as we expand into greater levels of consciousness, if you will, our BS meter is getting stronger. So if you're sitting there delivering something with an ill intention or with a hidden agenda or anything like that, people's BS meters click in. And you're right, engagement is so important because people tend to multitask on these Zoom or virtual conferences. What are some tips you have to keep people engaged, keep people in tune with what you're delivering?
Well, you've already been doing it as a perfect example on this live, encouraging people to add comments, asking questions, even if they are on a different screen. The way that the way that your voice changes when you ask that question, that kind of re-engages people. So being engaged, making sure that you have the right team. Like right now, it would be difficult for us to go in and be typing and answering comments, and we could address it this way. But if you're delivering a presentation, you're not always in that space. So one of my other tips and tricks is really making sure that you have a team who is able to be engaging, react, respond in real time with those comments. A lot of times with virtual events, you're getting comments in the QA, you're getting comments on your Facebook feed, and making sure that there's that constant interaction, because otherwise you go into the, I forgot what somebody called it yesterday. It was something, I don't remember what they called it, but it was great. Otherwise you lose that engagement. And I also think just asking questions and things like that are great. Seeing faces are great. I am not one of those people who is like slide. However, sharing a screen, popping up an image from time to time, mixing it up will also keep people more engaged because they want to see what you're going to come up with. It's very easy to listen to you and I talking now. This very well could be a podcast interview. Obviously you do get more when you see that face-to-face interaction, but if you're actually delivering a presentation, having a couple of visual aids that tie into that without death by PowerPoint can definitely be beneficial as well. And just my personal is like, bring in the music and give people time. If you're doing a larger event that has a bunch of speakers, work in those 30-minute, 60-minute breaks. I mean, obviously, 10, 15 minutes, whatever, but work in larger chunks of time so that they can go tend to their life. They can check their email, they can engage, they can do the things. And that's actually a great opportunity to offer the optional networking time. People might want to grab their lunch, sit in front of their computer, and that's when you can leverage those Zoom breakout rooms if you're not incorporating those throughout, your normal agenda.
Yeah, beautifully said. Beautifully said. So along with all of this, I recommend that you join other Zoom meetings, other virtual events, so you can gain some insights and maybe even some ideas to model within your own virtual programs. You don't have to reinvent the wheel in a lot of cases. Sometimes you can just, model what somebody else is doing to add to your flavor or your mix.
Right. See what you like. And more importantly, see what you don't like.
Mm.
Take note, be aware. When did you swipe away? At what point? What caused that? Were you, and take note of that so that you can make sure not to make that same mistake in your own event.
Yeah, absolutely. So even this right now is a live virtual event. And the cool thing I love about Facebook Live is that it's evergreen material. It'll always be on Facebook, and you can always go back and make comments, share it, and increase the engagement. So I really enjoy these interviews. Wendi, thank you for your time and your expertise in all of this. Any last words of wisdom before we wrap this thing up?
I mean, I think my biggest message is that it doesn't have to be difficult. Yes, it is time consuming. But to your point, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Find someone you like what they're doing, model it, reach out. There's no shortage of free content right now. And at the end of the day, the most important thing is that you have a message to share, and you are doing the world a disjustice by not sharing it. Get out of your way. If you're nervous about getting on live video, if you feel like you don't have it all dialed in, do it. You'll work your way through it. And I guarantee, there will be at least one person who benefits from your message, from what you have to say. And it gets easier every single time.
Lovely. And why don't you tell us? I'm sure that there was a point in time when you started to do lives and you had some resistance doing it, and then you just kind of hit your stride. What was it like for you in the beginning when you were just getting started with these lives?
I did not want to do them. I had multiple coaches all challenge me to do it, and was actually made me commit to doing at least 2 a month. And if not, that I would shave off my eyebrows. Well, that was all I needed. I'm not shaving these things off. So that was all that I needed. I mean, the first couple, it was scripted. I thought about it. I was all like sweaty palms. My heart's pounding like all day. I usually do my lives at 2:30. I don't know why. That's just what I chose. And then it wasn't actually until Corona hit, and I realized I took what the advice that I just gave you is, I have this knowledge, I have this expertise in virtual events. I'm going to share it because I am passionate about people impacting lives and sharing their message. And, I did a 12-day Facebook Live series, which you guys are, free to go on my page and check that out. I went through 11 different tips, one tip each day, and then a QA that really dove deeper into hosting successful, profitable, badass events. But in that's how I overcame it. I mean, I knew I had to step into my way of being, and I had to show up because I knew I could make an impact. And remembering that as my why versus getting all in my head about, well, what are people going to think? You know what? If you don't like me, turn it off. I don't care. Like I said, one person, it's going to impact one person. At least.
This is really powerful. So a couple of nuggets that I heard you say is, number one, find a way to be accountable to going live. So for those of you who are watching, you're like, God, I really want to go live, but I got resistance going on. I got fear going on. Number one is make yourself accountable to it. So there's a couple.
I just want to add to that something else. Once I decided, I did my first couple, but in this 12-day series, I posted for the next 10 days. It ended up being 12 because I kept thinking of more things. But for the next 10 days, this is what I'm doing. So like I put it out there. I had no choice, to your accountability point.
So powerful. You know, I had a client recently, we had a call yesterday, and one thing that I challenged her to do was to stop drinking for 30 days because it's creating brain fog and lowering her energy levels and not allowing her to be as productive as she'd like. And so not only is she on the 30-day challenge of no drinking, but she's going to do a Facebook Live on it every single day. So now it becomes a journey that you get to go with her on, and it becomes content that she gets to create. So for you, maybe what's a 30-day challenge that you could go on that would make you accountable and put your feet to the fire, so to speak. Accountability is huge.
Definitely.
One way that I did it with doing these GCtv episodes is that I find badass people like Wendi, and I say, let's pick a time and a date and let's go live. So I can't back out of it, you know? So find a way for you to kind of create that container that's going to squeeze you a little bit, put a little of that positive pressure on you to get it done. So cool. So many nuggets.
And just one more thing that I just to add to that, you know, if you're thinking about something, you're like, oh, that would make a good live, just go live. Don't script it. If you're feeling it, get out there and say it. The more you do it, the easier it's going to be. And I found that when you were just in that, I mean, that's when you're going to be the most authentic, the most vulnerable, is when you have that thought of, oh, I could do a live on that. Because if you say, I'm going to do a live on that, you're going to overthink it. You're going to try to come up with your talking points and your bullet points versus just being authentically you. Because that's what people tie into. When
the inspiration hits, go.
Exactly. That was a much, much shorter way of saying that.
You know, and so along with that, you know, sometimes the inspiration will hit and then people will kind of get in their heads on, okay, what post do I make? And then they're sitting there for an hour. The inspiration is gone and they're trying to figure out what to write, you know, before they go live. So maybe just a one quick liner, ... create some intrigue, some curiosity, and then go live when the inspiration hits.
Exactly. 100%.
Yeah. All right. I know I said one last tip, but you have so many golden nuggets coming here and people are staying engaged. So any other tips that have hit you since in the last couple of minutes?
Gosh, you know, I could go, there's so many different things that I could go into. You know, I think what the staffing needs is really, really important. And really, I would say the social media engagement, whether you're doing, I mean, even you saw over the past week, George and I have both been sharing this. We've been posting it. We've been engaging with people that have been responding. And again, like just getting in front of people. So really promoting it is really important. That doesn't even necessarily mean that you have to run Facebook ads to it. Think about who else do you know that has a product or service that could support the same people, that is synergistic to what you're already doing. Bring them on, talk to them, get them to promote it. If you do that, make it super easy for them. Write them the post and say, hey, do you mind sharing this? I'd love to do X, Y, and Z and collaborate with you. But, you know, thinking about those strategic ways to get in front of more people. And, you know, most of us as entrepreneurs, we have those connections. We know those people, even as simple as a Facebook post. Hey, do you know somebody who, and list them out. You're going to get so many referrals and recommendations of people you can talk to. And that's just a great way to build not just the community, but the value, because then you're not there just talking about what you do and who you serve. You're bringing in other people that have complementary services. So if somebody has a problem, they're trying to overcome an obstacle, they're reaching for a goal, give them additional tools to help them get there even quicker.
Powerful. Yeah. I mean, collaboration is so huge right now, and very grateful for our collaboration here. So let's do a 1-minute recap as best we can. Let's kind of cover the top tips. Here we go. Number one.
Oh boy. Number one. Oh man, there's so many.
And they don't have to be in order too. I remember one you said is show up authentically. Like, you know, I've got my sports coat here, my t-shirt here, but who knows what I got down below? What's next?
Right. I'm in yoga pants, not going to lie. Engaging with your community, both before, during, and after the event, creating networking opportunities, creating as much of the live environment as you possibly can in the virtual space. You know, content versus context, making sure that that message really hones in, solves a specific problem, not just a I'm struggling in COVID-19 to keep my business alive. What is that problem? Because that's way too broad, right? And anybody can relate to that, and that's good, but you want to own the market. So really hone into that. What else did we talk about?
We talked about the unique features within Zoom. Make sure and check that out. Do some research and practice with it. Find a vehicle. Like, so for me, this is StreamYard that you're watching this on via Facebook Live, and I looked at a couple of different streaming tools, and Zoom and StreamYard were most user friendly for me and most fun for me to use. So when you're choosing a technology vehicle, a virtual vehicle, find something that's easy for you to use, fun to use, so that you'll use it. Because if it's wonky for you, or it's not intuitive for you, or not user friendly for you, chances of you using it are very slim to none. So find something you like.
And this one's super easy. You can stream it across multiple platforms. You're not going to spend weeks trying to learn the technology on the background. So this is definitely a great one.
Yeah.
I think a couple other things that I mentioned. Music is a huge thing. Definitely music. Incorporate some visual into your presentations, ask questions, make sure you have the right team, that you have the staff when you go live, if it's a larger event. And, strategic sponsorships, speakers, offering as much value coming from that place of authenticity, like you said, but also not having a hidden agenda.
Beautiful. These are all great tips for those of you just jumping on. Make sure you go through, watch the replay. Also follow Wendi, follow me if you're not familiar with me. Collaboration is one of the biggest strategies right now to tap into, to reach more people. And just because like you're kind of on lockdown, don't let yourself be limited by that. Get creative on how you can deliver your content out there via the interwebs. All right, Wendi, thanks again for your brilliance and your time. We'll have to do a part 2. This, by the way, these usually go 20 to 25 minutes, but because this one was so good, we end up going a little longer. So part 2 is going to be coming, I'm sure.
Awesome. I look forward to it. Thank you so much, George. It was great to talk to you.
Yeah, you too. Thanks everybody for tuning in to GCtv, and we'll see you next time where we're making shift happen.
Yes.